What happened yesterday? What do you remember from yesterday? Nothing? Banana. What do you think about a banana? Tastes good. The voltage.
Chemistry sense.
What else? Making waste work. It's one of the best examples where you show to children that what you throw in the waste basket actually can give you something your body needs. It gives you more energy. Can you imagine the child coming home and telling mom, I can make electricity with what you throw away? Mom will say, no way. I want to have more about that electricity, and maybe you can give some comment. How much electricity was there?
Someone told me that the connection of that 14 actually is strong. So we should put the black one on the common socket instead of on the father bed.
So?
I'll try that when I go home.
Okay, please. You know, this is something that is a basis for more experimentation. And if in doubt, at least what you know, something is happening. So we agree something is happening. And I tell you, you can do it with many other products. You can continue doing it with many other products. And my experience in Brazil is that the children are able to go up to 1 volt after training and mixing. And 1 volt. 1 volt is enough for LED light. So, you know, when children make with some waste, 1 volt and LED light, boom, goes on. For them, it's not magic, it's reality. You know, and this is how we help the children bridge. So the whole story about the whale becomes reality. And a reality they have experienced themselves. So no one is going to debate with them anymore. This doesn't work. I had an experience in Brazil whereby I was working with Petrobras. Petrobras is the big petroleum company. And the petroleum company wanted me to help their research team to think about new energy sources. And at the same time, I had the children that I had been working with in the city of Curitiba. And the children, they knew the fables very well. So I presented to the executives some of these ideas. And I did the exercise with the banana and the egg for the executives. And one of the executives gets up and says, this is so small, this has no importance to our industry. We are producing the volumes that our industry needs, our country needs. And one of the children comes up and says, well, that may be true for you now, but when I'm in your position, it's going to change. and it's that self-confidence. If they're succeeding or not, that doesn't matter. The state of mind is a state of mind that we can do better. And with all due respect to those who have these positions, of course, that's the world they live in. And I'm not pretending that it's going to be possible to replace petroleum with banana peels and eggshells. I didn't say that. Neither does the child say it. Because if we then go to the next step of debate, what is happening is that we know that petroleum requires very centralized manufacturing and production of electricity, and the distribution of the electricity over very long distances. Whereas the bananas, you know, and the eggshell concept can just be done locally. Now, who here in the room is an electric engineer? No one. And the majority of the people are not electric engineers, okay? The majority of the people are not the engineers who know this in detail. but the majority of the electric engineers have been studying to do central electricity production and distribution. But when you would be thinking about electricity, you're thinking about your home, about what you need. And if you have the big distribution of electricity, you have AC, alternate current. But when you're at home, you're using DC in most of your electronic equipment. And you know, now we have to produce big electricity, transport it, and then we have to make it into small electricity so it fits into your cell phone or it fits into your electronic equipment. Not for your oven, not for your electric oven. That requires 3,000 watts or 6,000 watts. That requires big power. But for many of the equipments that we're using today, and the industry is designing more and more more and more microelectronic devices that only require a small amount of electricity, direct current, DC. And so as a result, these opportunities that we're talking about for industry is much better. Because these opportunities is more in line of the thinking of industry today. Because how many cell phones are there in Taiwan? Maybe more than people. Okay? And how many of you have children at home who have a Game Boy? All do. Maybe you play with Game Boy as well. But so what we're noticing is there is more and more trend towards mobile electronic devices that have small energy consumption. And the biggest effort that many of these electronic companies are making is to reduce the energy in those devices, because then people can play longer. And that's exactly a convergence with this type of innovation that we look at the banana and the eggshell. The banana and eggshell is symbolic, not only because it is a waste, it's also in line with what is happening with the electronics industry. And you know, that can take 20 or 30 years. That is not going to happen in 1 year or 5 years. That may take 20 or 30 years. But that's exactly why we have to expose the children to it. Because when it's there in their minds and they know it works, when then one of those 100 childs becomes an electronic or an electric engineer, they will think very different than the way the electric engineers are thinking today. And that's what we want to achieve. So they will actually be challenging their professors. They will tell their professors, I don't think so. And while at the high school level that's not so good, but at university level, that's the right students. The students who are challenging the professors. Not because it's right and wrong, it's because we want to do better. And I think this is part of the very important, what I try to do with the fables is to have issues come up that are in line with some big trends in industry. And the big trend in industry is towards mobile, microelectronic devices that can communicate. That's the trend. And so we know that everyone wants longer life, less charging, and so everyone is looking for more local electricity, not to have to go into the wall anymore. And so now you see that the story of the whale becomes a very conceptual story. It's actually about redesigning society, because as you remember, I shared with you, one of the greatest innovations is that the boys want to do cooking. Boys traditionally, when the age of 8 or 10, don't want to do cooking. That's not what they want to do. But what nice if you have a home where a man wants to cook as well. But nice when they know how the ingredients go together. And so you have these changes in society that go beyond the electronics. On the social side, also things change. You see? And this is, you know, Maybe you all want to just stay home and cook. Maybe you don't want this to change. Maybe you don't want men to cook. But I tell you, in Europe, a man who cooks at home, very popular. Very popular.